Picture this for just a moment. It's a quiet morning. You're sitting at your kitchen table with the soft light of the sun slipping through the curtains. You reach for a couple of fresh eggs, crack them into the pan, and the sizzle begins. That familiar, warm smell fills the room. And for a second, everything feels calm and comforting. It's a simple routine, one many of us have repeated thousands of times over the years. For some, it's even tied to precious memories, maybe the sound of breakfast being made by a parent long ago, or the joy of preparing a hearty meal for the family. Now here's the surprising twist. What if I told you that the way those eggs are cooked, or even the side dishes you put on the plate, could quietly raise your risk of a sudden stroke? And you might not even notice it happening? It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Because eggs, on their own, are one of the most complete, nutritious foods we have available. They're packed with protein, essential vitamins, healthy fats, and they support everything from muscle strength to brain function. For decades, they've been celebrated as a superfood. But here's the catch. It's not the eggs themselves that pose the danger, it's the habits we've built around them. The cooking methods, the added ingredients, even the time of day we eat them can transform this wholesome food into something that silently works against our health. And for older adults, whose blood vessels may already be under more strain, these little details matter more than ever. That's why today, I want to shine a light on the hidden side of our everyday egg habits. In this video, I'll walk you through 10 common mistakes people make with eggs that may increase the risk of stroke as we age. These aren't the kinds of things most people ever think about, but once you understand them, you'll realize how small, thoughtful changes in your kitchen can protect not only your heart but also your brain in ways that truly matter. If you're already curious, go ahead and drop a quick comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And before we dive in, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to join our Health Vita community. Together, we share simple, practical tips that can genuinely make a difference in your everyday life. Now, let's get started with the very first habit you need to pay attention to. Many people adore the richness of egg yolks, and it's easy to understand why. That golden, creamy flavor has been part of American breakfast tables for generations. But there's something important you need to know about them. Egg yolks are creamy, rich, and deeply satisfying. For generations, they've been part of what we think of as a hearty, traditional breakfast. There's comfort in that golden flavor. It feels like home. But here's the truth that often goes unnoticed. Eating several yolks every single day can quietly work against your health in ways most folks never realize. The reason lies in what yolks are made of. Egg yolks are packed with cholesterol and saturated fats. Now, cholesterol itself isn't evil, it's something our bodies need in small amounts. But when we consistently take in too much, that excess cholesterol doesn't just float around harmlessly in the blood. Over time, it sticks to the walls of your arteries, forming fatty plaques. These plaques make the vessels narrower and less flexible, almost like rust clogging up an old water pipe. Once that process starts, blood has a harder time flowing freely to your brain. And here's where things get dangerous. Those plaques don't always stay put. Sometimes, they suddenly break apart, triggering blood clots that can block circulation entirely. That's the exact chain of events that leads to many strokes. Doctors at Harvard have pointed out that people who consume large amounts of dietary cholesterol, especially from multiple egg yolks, often show elevated levels of LDL, the bad cholesterol, in their lab results, and high LDL is one of the clearest warning signs for heart disease and stroke risk. Now, this doesn't mean you should swear off eggs forever. Balance is the key. For most older adults, enjoying one whole egg a day is generally safe, providing you with protein and nutrients without overwhelming your arteries. But making a habit of 3 or 4 yolks every morning, that's when you quietly tip the scale toward danger. A smarter, safer approach is to enjoy a single egg and then pair it with colorful vegetables, leafy greens, or a side of whole grains like oatmeal or brown toast. You still get the satisfying flavor and the protein you love, while giving your blood vessels a much lighter load to carry. And speaking of cooking choices, let's talk about another habit that often feels traditional and comforting: dropping a spoonful of butter or a bit of pork fat into the pan before cracking in your eggs. The sizzling sound, the golden crisp edges, those smells and textures can bring back memories of breakfasts from childhood, when life felt simple and warm. But here's the hidden issue behind that delicious tradition. Both butter and animal fats are loaded with saturated fatty acids. When heated and absorbed into your meal, these fats can actually change the thickness of your blood, making it harder for your heart to pump smoothly. Imagine your heart working like a pump that suddenly has to push through thicker liquid. It strains and tires more quickly. Over the years, this strain creates the perfect environment for clots to form and block blood flow to the brain. Cardiologists often warn that meals rich in saturated fat not only increase LDL cholesterol but also reduce the flexibility of your arteries. making it harder for them to expand and contract as they should. Scientific research backs this up. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition revealed that people who regularly cook with butter or lard tend to face a significantly higher risk of cardiovascular events compared to those who choose plant-based oils. The difference lies in how these fats interact with your circulation. Animal fats clog, while plant-based oils protect. The good news? A simple swap can make a world of difference. Instead of butter or pork fat, try reaching for olive oil, avocado oil, or even a light spray of canola oil. These healthier options still bring out wonderful flavors in your eggs, giving you that satisfying taste you crave, but without weighing down your bloodstream. Making this small change doesn't just improve your breakfast, it can ease the pressure on your heart and brain, helping you start your day with both comfort and peace of mind. And since we're already talking about oils, let's go one step further and look at what happens when eggs are fried in the most extreme way. You know the method, dropping eggs straight into a pot of hot, bubbling oil. Sure, the result might be a crispy edge, that crunchy bite, and a flavor that feels indulgent. But here's the problem: the health trade-off is far more serious than most people realize. When oil is heated to very high temperatures, especially if it's been reused multiple times, it begins to produce something called trans fats. These are among the most harmful fats we can consume. Unlike natural fats that our body can process in moderation, trans fats do double damage. Not only do they raise LDL, the bad cholesterol, they also directly attack the inner lining of your arteries. That lining, called the endothelium, normally acts like a smooth, protective shield, keeping blood flowing without friction. But once trans fats damage it, tiny cracks begin to form. Platelets rush in to repair the damage. But instead of healing the vessel, they often harden into clots. And those clots? They're exactly what can block blood flow to the brain and set the stage for a stroke. That's how something as simple as a fried egg can quietly turn into a health hazard. Scientists at the Mayo Clinic have sounded the alarm. Trans fats don't just raise harmful cholesterol levels. They also lower HDL, the good cholesterol that normally helps sweep plaque out of your arteries over time. This double hit leaves your circulation sluggish, almost like rush hour traffic stuck on a crowded highway with no exits. Now, here's the encouraging part. If you love fried eggs, you don't have to give them up entirely. The safer choice is to use a small amount of fresh, plant-based oil and to cook at medium heat, never so hot that the oil bubbles and smokes. This way, you still get that satisfying egg without coating it in the type of fat that silently weakens your arteries. But frying oil isn't the only pairing we need to talk about. Let's turn to another breakfast tradition that feels comforting but can be even more harmful: combining eggs with processed meats on the same plate. For many people, breakfast just doesn't feel complete without a couple of bacon strips, a slice of ham, or maybe some sausage right next to their eggs. The smoky flavor, the saltiness, the crunch, it all feels like comfort food at its finest. But this combination is one of the most dangerous for your blood vessels. Here's why. Processed meats like bacon, sausage, and ham are loaded with sodium, preservatives, and nitrites. These chemicals don't just flavor the food, they trigger inflammation inside your arteries. That inflammation makes the blood vessels stiff and brittle. When inflammation becomes chronic, those vessel walls weaken, making them more likely to tear or rupture under pressure. And when you add the cholesterol from egg yolks into the mix, you're fueling the perfect storm for a stroke. Research from the World Health Organization has confirmed that regular consumption of processed meats is strongly linked with higher rates of heart and vascular disease. Largely because of the nitrites and excess salt. Sodium, in particular, is a powerful enemy for older adults. It pulls extra water into the bloodstream, raising blood pressure day after day. Think about it, every extra bit of water is like extra weight your arteries have to carry. And over time, that strain takes a serious toll. The good news? You don't have to give up flavor or tradition altogether. Instead of reaching for processed meats, try pairing your eggs with fresh avocado slices, sautéed spinach, or even a few strips of lean roasted turkey breast. These swaps still give you that sense of fullness and satisfaction, but without punishing your arteries in the process. And while sodium in processed meat is one major issue, here's another sneaky place it hides, right on top of your eggs. Melting a slice of cheese over warm eggs feels like the ultimate comfort food. The creamy texture blends perfectly, and the taste is almost irresistible. But when the cheese is heavily processed and loaded with sodium, it becomes a hidden threat to your circulation. Here's what happens: salt forces your body to hold on to extra fluid, which raises the overall volume of blood in your system. More blood volume means higher pressure inside your arteries. And when that pressure climbs day after day, the delicate vessels in your brain become more and more vulnerable. One sudden spike in blood pressure can cause them to rupture, leading to a stroke that comes without warning. Studies from the American Heart Association highlight this clearly. Older adults who consume diets high in sodium face a much higher risk of stroke and cardiovascular events compared to those who limit their salt intake. So the takeaway is simple: it's not about giving up the foods you love, but about making mindful swaps and setting limits. Your breakfast can still be comforting, filling, and delicious, without quietly putting your health at risk. High blood pressure, also known as hypertension, is the #1 driver of stroke in the United States. And here's the important detail: while eggs themselves don't naturally contain much salt, the moment you add salty cheese on top, the risk multiplies quickly. For many folks, a morning omelette layered with cheddar or processed cheese slices feels harmless, maybe even comforting, but in reality, that extra sodium is quietly pushing the body closer to a crisis. The safer option is much simpler than people think. Instead of leaning on processed cheese, season your eggs with fresh herbs like basil, parsley, or chives. Even a pinch of black pepper or paprika can add bold flavor without loading your bloodstream with sodium. And if you do crave that cheesy richness, reach for a small portion of low-sodium options like cottage cheese or mozzarella. That way, you still get the creamy texture and flavor you love, without sending your blood pressure soaring first thing in the morning. And speaking of morning eggs, let's talk about another common habit that often goes unnoticed but can quietly raise stroke risk even more. Picture that classic sunny side-up egg with its golden yolk, soft and runny, spilling over a slice of toast. It looks beautiful, and many people love that rich texture. But here's the catch: when yolks are left only half-cooked, the cholesterol inside them becomes unstable. In that unstable state, cholesterol oxidizes quickly once it enters your body, and oxidized cholesterol is far more dangerous than its natural form. Instead of moving gently through your bloodstream, it clings tightly to artery walls, forming hard, stubborn plaques that block circulation. The risk is even greater in the morning because blood pressure naturally rises after a night's sleep. Combine that natural morning surge with sticky cholesterol, and the chance of a plaque breaking loose and causing a clot shoots up dramatically. Research from the Cleveland Clinic makes it clear: oxidized cholesterol accelerates the development of atherosclerosis, the hardening and narrowing of the arteries. That's why eating multiple runny yolks at breakfast, day after day, can quietly build up into a ticking time bomb inside your circulation. You may not feel it immediately, but the danger grows silently over time, waiting for the wrong moment to strike. The healthier approach couldn't be simpler. Cook your yolks until they're firm, and be mindful of how many you eat in one sitting. Balance your plate with fiber-rich foods like oats, leafy greens, or other vegetables. Fiber helps regulate cholesterol levels and keeps digestion steady, giving your heart and arteries the support they need. With this approach, you can still enjoy eggs without putting such a heavy burden on your circulation. But yolk preparation isn't the only breakfast habit to watch out for. There's another everyday move that sneaks up on many of us: reaching for the salt shaker. For so many people, adding salt has become second nature. A quick sprinkle on scrambled eggs, another shake over a fried egg, and suddenly the plate tastes just right. But those extra pinches carry more danger than most folks realize. Salt drives blood pressure higher, and when pressure spikes too quickly, the tiny, delicate vessels in the brain are placed under enormous strain. Over time, they weaken, losing their natural flexibility and strength. One sudden surge in blood pressure can make them burst. That's exactly how a habit as simple as oversalting your eggs can lead directly to a stroke. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that older adults in the US often consume nearly twice the recommended daily amount of sodium. That excess salt is one of the leading contributors to both ischemic and hemorrhagic strokes. And the tricky part? You may not feel the effects right away. The damage builds slowly, like cracks spreading through an old water pipe, until one day it finally bursts. But here's the good news: flavor doesn't have to come from salt alone. Fresh herbs like dill, thyme, or parsley can brighten your eggs with freshness. A squeeze of lemon or a dash of pepper can add depth and complexity without a single grain of sodium. These small swaps keep your meals satisfying while helping you maintain healthy blood pressure. And if plain salt is already a hidden danger, then the sauces and spreads many people add to their eggs can be even trickier. A spoonful of mayonnaise, a pat of butter, or other creamy condiments may feel like they're just adding flavor, but underneath, they can deliver a health cost you never expected. A swirl of cream, a spoonful of mayonnaise, or even a generous pat of butter, these extras might make your eggs taste richer, creamier, and more indulgent. It feels like a small treat, a way to elevate a simple breakfast. But here's the hidden cost: all three are packed with saturated fats. And in many cases, even trans fats. These unhealthy fats don't just sit quietly in your meal. They actually change the very texture of your blood, making it thicker and more sluggish, harder for your heart to pump through your vessels. On top of that, they rob your arteries of their natural flexibility, leaving them stiff and vulnerable to damage. When blood becomes both sticky and slow-moving, clots form more easily, and as we know, those clots are exactly what block oxygen from reaching the brain, the recipe for a stroke. Research backs this up. A study from the National Institutes of Health highlighted that trans fats increase LDL cholesterol, the bad kind, while lowering HDL cholesterol, the protective type that helps sweep plaque out of your arteries. That 1-2 punch is especially dangerous. It means more buildup and fewer defenses. Like driving down a highway where new roadblocks keep popping up but the cleanup crews have been sent home. Eventually, traffic grinds to a halt. For older adults, whose vessels are already aging and less resilient, this impact is magnified. But here's the good news: the solution isn't to give up flavor. Instead, it's about smarter swaps. Replace mayonnaise with creamy mashed avocado. Use olive oil in place of butter. And if you love fluffy scrambled eggs, lighten them with just a splash of low-fat milk instead of heavy cream. These small adjustments give you that same sense of comfort without burdening your circulation. And while creamy sauces are one hidden danger, even the bread you pair with your eggs can quietly add to the risk. Think about the classic egg sandwich. It looks harmless, a quick, easy breakfast on the go. But the type of bread makes all the difference. White bread, soft and fluffy as it is made from refined flour. Refined flour has a high glycemic index, meaning it turns into sugar in your body almost instantly. That quick spike in blood sugar may not feel dangerous in the moment, but what follows is a sudden crash. These rapid swings put stress on the inner lining of your arteries, wearing them down little by little. When you combine that damage with cholesterol from fried eggs, the chances of plaque forming and clots developing go up sharply. The American Diabetes Association has shown that refined carbs like those in white bread accelerate vascular aging and increase stroke risk, especially in older adults. It's like adding extra wear and tear to pipes that are already fragile. Day after day, those blood sugar swings make vessels less resilient, until one day, they simply can't hold up under pressure. That's when a clot or rupture can strike without warning. The fix here is simple and powerful. Swap white bread for whole grain bread. Whole grains digest more slowly, keeping your blood sugar steady and your circulation healthier. Pairing eggs with fiber-rich bread not only helps balance cholesterol but also gives you longer-lasting energy to carry you through the day. It's a small shift that makes breakfast dramatically safer. And bread isn't the only thing to watch. The timing of when you eat your eggs can also carry hidden risks. For many people, a late-night snack feels comforting, and eggs often seem like a quick, harmless choice, but eating them right before going to bed can quietly raise your stroke risk. Here's why: during sleep, your body naturally slows down both circulation and metabolism. That means the fats from the eggs, especially the yolks, linger in your bloodstream instead of being processed efficiently. Over time, these fats settle on artery walls, adding to plaque buildup, and when blood moves more slowly at night, clots are more likely to form. The most dangerous moment often comes in the morning. That's when blood pressure naturally rises after waking up. Combine that surge with clots formed overnight, and you have the perfect conditions for a stroke. Doctors at Johns Hopkins University have warned that late-night eating of high-fat foods increases blood lipid levels and disrupts vascular health. For older adults, whose arteries are already less flexible, this creates the perfect storm. Think of it like traffic on a highway. At night, cars slow to a crawl. Then morning rush hour hits, and suddenly the road is jammed beyond capacity. That's exactly what can happen in your circulation when fats and clots build up overnight. So what's the safer choice if you feel hungry before bed?